Hey, good evening, everyone. It's Ken Washington Hay from Water's Edge. I know you haven't heard from me for a while because I've been trying to keep up with the changes and updates between what the Harris County Commissioners Court's doing as well as the Harris County Housing Authority in regards to funding, infrastructure bill, the bond they're trying to put on a measure here in November, as well as the view at Lake Houston. Now, I know a couple of months ago that it was stated and information was put out that the housing authority is no longer seeking any type of development in regards to the view at Lake Houston. But if you go to their webpage, there's nothing that states in any news articles or updates or anything that they have ceased that. That was just something that was stated at the Harris County Commissioners Court, which concerned me because not only when that statement was made by the I believe the new president, but there was nothing, no follow up or anything stated in regards to who was going to take over, where they're going to sell it. So I continue to follow the cookie crumbs. Some things that I've probably been discussing with some other people downtown to try to get some insight on what they are probably doing. Well, you'll also notice that the Harris County Commissioners Court, some of the commissioners are trying to push for some reason not only these CDBG funds for different infrastructure projects throughout the county, which they don't state what that's going for or going to be supporting, but also they're pushing this bond measure for more funding, I believe $1.5 billion for the county, but they haven't identified what that money is going to go for specifically. They state law enforcement, but as previously stated, they never identify specifically how that money is going to be supporting law enforcement, considering three of the Harris County commissioners, more specifically two commissioners and a judge, County Judge Hidalgo, were trying to defund the constable's office, which was pretty much an issue because out in rural Harris County, where you have a majority of people that live in this area, the sheriff's office and the constable's office patrol those areas, and they're actively engaged in law enforcement duties. But with their budget being shortened or cut, they can't provide a lot of those resources, or they don't have the funding to provide those resources, which is a huge point of contention. Also, in regards to the sheriff's office, I remember Lieutenant Batten was downtown trying to push for an increase in salary for the sheriff's office that would put them on par with other law enforcement agencies here within the region, namely HPD, Pasadena, and Baytown. But Commissioner Garcia had made statements about, well, the 2% was something that he implemented to try to help bring them on par. But what he did not clarify in his statement was that the money that he and Ellis, as well as Hidalgo, was trying to put forth to give the sheriff's office an increased raise was borrowed money, meaning that later it would have to be paid back somehow. And I was trying to dig more into that. I just found it an interesting conversation that was a back and forth between Garcia, Lieutenant Batten with the Harris County Sheriff's Office, and the Commissioner Cagle, because there were some inaccuracies in the statement that Commissioner Garcia was making. In regards to the constable's office, they're all fighting to try to get that funding from the Harris County Commissioners, namely Ellis, Garcia, and Hidalgo, reinstated back to them so that they can continue to support law enforcement services in rural Harris County. And that's just the point in all of this. Now, some other things that they were trying to masquerade in regards to the funding that they're trying to get passed to the voters is infrastructure. Well, in 2018, there was the Harvey Fund money, that was federal money that was supposed to go into infrastructure, rebuilding the floodplains here, as well as some infrastructure here in the county. For some reason, that 2.5 billion dollars that we voted on 4 years later can't identify where that money's gone to. Also, in that voting measure that we voted on in 2018, it clearly states that by voting on that 2.4, $2.5 billion, that it was supposed to leverage billions of dollars back to the Houston metropolitan area to help support the county as well as city resources, infrastructure, and development, that no one can seem to find or identify how that money is going to be distributed or was distributed. So that's just crazy that they asked for 2.5 billion in 2018, which was just 4 years ago, and now they're asking for an additional 1.4 and 1.5 billion now, but they can't identify how that money is going to be used specifically, how it's going to be specifically earmarked to support law enforcement infrastructure. I got a sneaky feeling they're going to try to use some of that money to give the Harris County Housing Authority to complete the View at Lake Houston project and move low rent housing out here to Westlake Houston, that inevitably be turned over to the residents out here to support their taxpayer dollars, not to people actually moving there. So I know that was a lot of information put out. Been trying to do a lot of research and meetings, and on top of that, go to work here lately to try to address some of these concerns. I plan on being at the Harris County Commissioner's Court on Tuesday, where they have a bunch of measures on there. Some of them I've identified that they've stated things that they're purchasing for the constable's office. I think those are just rubber stamp gestures to try to state that they're doing something when they're really not doing anything. The things that they're trying to state in those agenda items really are irrelevant in regards to the bigger picture of funding law enforcement here in Harris County by the Commissioner's Court. Also, you have the elections coming up. In my mind, I think that Lina Hidalgo hasn't done really much for the county, really kind of been sitting there and been taken advantage of. And I think that this next election is going to be very important for Harris County. I do encourage you to go out and go listen to Alexandra Mueller and what she's saying. I think she will be a significant change for Harris County as well as politics here in the area, and make a difference in regards to the things that we're trying to do. And of course, if not, then we can resolve that later. But that's something you need to keep an eye on. Get registered to vote. Also, you probably have a lot of local elections coming up with some of your school boards. Of course, the governor's election with Governor Abbott. Probably go out and vote for him. He's trying to do some things in regards to the border. I like the things that he's doing as far as trying to address the border crisis, even though that's a federal issue, as well as your local HOA boards. Don't discount these HOA boards and these mud boards. They directly impact the communities here along Westlake Houston, and those voices that need to be heard from the residents in those elections. So I'm gonna get back to work in regards to following up with the Commissioner's Court. I looked on the Harris County Housing Authority's page. There's nothing mentioned about this View at Lake Houston project, which concerns me. Hasn't been updated with any information. They don't have any of the changes in regards to Gerald Womack, I should say, who's actually the members. It's still Gerald Womack who made some of the disparaging comments to the residents when we had the meeting back in November. I know Joe Villarreal, he's down there as the vice chair. Didn't meet him. Joe Ellis, Adriana Timez, and Ashley Gilbert as a commissioner. So may have to reach out to them in regards to your concerns about any of the projects the Harris County Housing Authority is doing. I've been keeping an eye on some of their projects here in the area, and those are actually projects that should be handled by the city and not the county. So until next time, speak to you later. Ken Washington, Water's Edge, and I'm out.